Hi, I'm Mike from 1A Auto. We've been selling auto parts for over 30 years.
Hi everyone, Sue here at 1A Auto, and today we're going to show you how to do front brake service on a 2015 Jeep Wrangler. If you need any parts for your car, click on the link below and head on over to 1AAuto.com. I'm going to take the tire off, 19mm socket. Make sure the weight of the vehicle is on the tire. Break them all free. I'm going to raise my vehicle with a 2-post lift. You use jack and jack stands at home unless you have a 2-post. Now with the vehicle in the air, I take all 5 lug nuts off by hand. Set the lug nuts aside. First thing I do is I'm going to open the bleeder screw to make sure I can break that free when I push the piston back. It's an 11mm wrench. Okay, so it broke free, nice. Just going to snug it so it won't be much effort when I push the piston back. The 2 caliper mounting bolts are 13mm. I'm going to break those off. Now the spinning slider pin is a 15mm wrench. So you're going to have to slide a wrench in there if it starts to spin on you. Take that bolt out, set it aside, and then do the same on the top. 13mm on the outside. And then slide that 15mm wrench in there. Now we can wiggle the caliper off the bracket. There you go. I'm going to set it up here. You never want it to dangle, just hang down with the weight. You want to, you can have a bungee cord, you can bungee cord it. I'm just going to use the leaf spring, and I hooked it right in there. The pads are halfway worn. They're in good shape. They should be fine. But we're going to do a brake service and use our parts from 1A Auto. Now we're going to take the bracket off, and this is a 21mm socket. I'm going to break that free. There we go. One on the top's a little tight because of the ABS line, but you can make it work. There we go. Take the bolts out, and we're going to take the bracket, slide it right out. Now the old pads are going to stick in there, and we're going to clean that up later. Now we're going to take the rotor off. So these pins things right here, these little whirly wind looking things, they're they're retainers that hold the rotor flat to the hub, and it's from the manufacturer, the assembly line. That's how you can always tell, usually if someone's taken a rotor or a drum off, this should still be on there if it's never been taken off. So I just take a pair of cutters, get one of the ears, pull it, break it free. You discard these, you cannot reuse them. There's no need, they just hold the rotor flat against the hub. So during assembly line, it's easy for them. So now we just take the rotor off. So the brake pads are in the caliper bracket. Sometimes you can just squeeze with your fingers and pull them out, and other times you just take a hammer and tap them out. I like to keep note of the inner pad that has the brake squealer on it. I like to, when I do front brakes or rear brakes with pads, I like to make sure I put them back the way the manufacturer put the squealer. Believe it or not, if you read into it and find out, it does make a difference in the way of the rotation of the pad, and the rotor for the pad. That's where the manufacturer wants it. This one on the front is a clip is on the bottom. Here we have our new brakes from 1AAuto.com. And this is the front brake pads. This is the OE pads. The improvement on the brake pad, as far as I'm concerned, is the slant cut here. That stops brake dust from building up and lets it disperse evenly so that there's no squealing noise. And it helps the brake pad from, I think, heating up faster and breaking down. So I like these pads. They've got the slice in them for the heat disbursement. The rotors are a beautiful crosscut. We've got the same double stage hat. Curved in the inner edge. Invented. If you need this part or any other part for your car, click on the link below and head on over to 1aauto.com. Before we mount the rotor, I like to clean the hub. With this one, I'm just using a little handheld wire bristle brush because I'm going to get right into the hub area where the rotor meets. Get rid of that surface rust. This vehicle obviously is in pretty good shape. There's no severe rust buildup. And I'll just add a little anti-seize, especially around where the hub meets the rotor surface. Just the high points of this ridge on the outer edge. Rust can play a big part in how your brakes wear and how the brake pedal feels, whether you start to develop a pulsation. That has to do with driver's technique also. Now we're ready to put the rotor on. So I put the rotor like this to clean it. Get the packing oils off of it, the shipping oils, shall I say. That's so it doesn't develop any rust sitting on the shelf. Okay, and I'm going to spin that around. I'm going to put a lug nut on the bottom here so it's easy to work with. Basically, it's taking place of what those clamps did that I just took off. There we go, see? Now I can clean this surface. Okay, while that drips, I'm going to clean up the caliper bracket. So I did not get new hardware for the front brakes. That would be these boots and these tins. The car has low mileage, and I examined the boots. I have no tears. There's no pinholes, so that's fine. But I'm still going to pop these off. Before I pop them off, I'm going to take my wire brush, and I'm just going to clean them up. Because I'm going to clean up the surface underneath also. So I'm just cleaning the dust off. I want a nice, clean, sliding surface for the pads. I'm going to do the same to the underneath, the under part, where they clip onto the bracket. And I'm going to add a little water-resistant silicone paste so rust does not build up. So I don't want to destroy these, so I'm going to pop them off the way you put them on. That would be the outside goes on last. So now I'll show you, just clean it up with the wire brush. Take my parts cleaner, I'll just go over the bucket, give it a quick spray. Now the silicone paste I use. You can use caliper paste, that's the same. I just put a thin coat. I just don't want water sitting underneath here and rusting it up. Now the proper way to put these clips on, the bigger clip sits on the outside. That would be either side, that's not where the rotor's hitting. The higher side goes to the back. So this would be this angle. So you put the inner clip in first and then snap it down. Same, repeat the process on this side. Inner clip in first, snap it down. I'm gonna do the same to this side. Now I'm going to take these slider pins out. I'm going to clean up the old grease on there. You can examine your pins, make sure your pins don't have any rust buildup. Up here the seats look good. Take the boot off. Examine it, looks great. So I'm just going to throw some clean silicone paste. First thing I do is I fill the boot up. I like to make sure the boot has lubrication in between the grooves there. That'll help it in the future. Disperse it under heat. So that's in there. I'm going to put that boot back on. And I'll just apply thin coat all the way around. I like to spin it as I seat it in there to get the air out. Squeeze it. You see the excess grease come right out. We'll repeat the process on this side now. I'm going to put the pads on the bench instead of in the vehicle, so that way I can actually see. Sometimes it's these clips with new pads can be kind of fidgety. Oh, that went right in. So this is the inner where the bolts line up to the knuckle. I know that's the inner pad. The outer pad is the thinner walled steel. Obviously you can't go this way. It goes the way of the design of the rotor. There we go. So now I'm ready to install this on the actual caliper bracket. Now we're going to install the bracket on the knuckle. Got 2 mounting bolts. That's the 21mm socket. And the torque on this is 100 foot-pounds. Now I can squeeze and seat the pads. 21mm socket and 100 foot-pounds. You can always, if this is in the way, pull it out of the bracket. While we're here, don't forget to put it right back in. Perfect. Okay, so now we're ready to put the caliper on the pads. Make sure if you ever end up twisting this, pay attention to the hose and the design. You don't want it to be obviously too twisted. Some cars you can do that too and some you can't. So now we're gonna push the piston back before we remount it. I have a nifty little tool here. It's a caliper piston tool. It can do dual pistons, single pistons, but it's a ratcheting mechanism. So get it so that it's snug in there. I snug the tool up just enough so that I can open this bleeder screw. It's my 11mm wrench. And I've got a bucket down below to catch the brake fluid. You do not want to push the fluid back into the ABS system. I'm going to aim that right at the bucket and ratchet my piston back. This is also the good way to make sure that your caliper is not sticking or seized up on you. Now it's bottomed out. I can take my wrench, tighten up that bleeder screw. Perfect. Now I'm going to examine that dust boot, make sure there's no tears. If there was an inner seal problem, there would be wetness of brake fluid coming out. I know that my piston's in good shape. Caliper's working properly. So now I can install that. Put the mounting bolts on the slider pins. Now I'm going to torque these to 26 foot-pounds. So the slider's moving, and put my 15mm wrench on there. Get the top on. Now once we're done with this, we're going to open that bleeder screw and let it gravity bleed. Should go fast because it's the closest one to the master cylinder. It doesn't take long for the fluid to get right to it. We have a nice steady flow. I can snug that up. I'm going to clean it up. And remember to put the boot back on. Those boots help the future of any work being done on the vehicle. So that way we don't have any rusted bleeder screws. Now we're ready to lower the vehicle, check our fluid, and pump the brakes up. Now we're going to mount our tires back on. I just hand tighten the lug nuts. That's a 19mm socket. So we're going to torque it now that I've lowered the vehicle with the weight of the vehicle on the tire, not all the way down. And the torque is 122 foot-pounds. Torque in the star pattern. And double check. Hi everyone, Sue here at 1A Auto, and today I'm going to show you how to adjust your rear brakes, e-brake shoes, on a 2015 Wrangler. You need any parts for your car? Click on 1AAuto.com. It's going to take a little bit because all pistons got pushed all the way back. And there it is. It's nice firm brake pedal. Perfect.
Thanks for watching. Visit us at 1AAuto.com for quality auto parts, fast and free shipping, and the best customer service in the industry.